Come on in. I've been looking for you. The coffee's hot, the cookies are fresh, and we're going to have a good time. I look forward to this every time we can get together. And I was thinking about something you might think is kind of different, and it is. I was reading the Psalms. Last night, frankly, I was feeling a little blue, so I decided to read the Psalms, and pretty soon I was singing them. And I thought the Psalms were like songs of David, and so why not sing them? And I had my own tune to them. And then as I sang, all of a sudden, I came to the word Selah. And once in a while, I'd sing a little more. The Lord is my refuge and my strength, Selah. And I could almost see somebody with a baton saying, Selah. And I looked up in the dictionary, Bible dictionary, to see what Selah meant. And it said they're not quite sure, but they said it's probably a musical rest, Selah. So as you read the Psalms, as you sing the Psalms, there's a musical rest. Even when you learn to read music, there's always that little sign, rest. And sometimes wonderful things happen in the rest. My mother had a really beautiful voice. Now she's singing in heaven, but she had a real high soprano voice, and there was no way that I could sing like her. She would be delighted. She said, I got the high note. I got the high note. And I'd accompany her on the piano, and it was so much fun to hear my mama sing. And then she'd say, and Clara, give me a rest after the second verse. I want a rest before I start the last one. So I would play just a little bit of piano music, and then Mom would start again. So that's another kind of rest. She wanted a little break, a little breather. Then I thought, I bake bread. Sometimes I make white bread, sometimes I make dark bread, sometimes I make sweet bread. I even make cinnamon rolls. It's been a while, but I can. And I make Scandinavian kind of things with cardamom. And I'll tell you what I do with this dough. I stir the dough in a big pan, it's a bowl with a mixer. I have a special mixer, but then when it gets too heavy for the mixer, I have to put it on the counter, and then I have to knead it. And I'm not talking about N-E-E-D-E-D, it's with a K. I have to move it, and sometimes I punch it, and then I have to put a towel over it and let it rest. You know the thought that comes to me? Do you feel pummeled? Do you feel like you're laying on that counter and you're being punched? So many things happen, and you feel like you're being pummeled, and you feel like you've been kneaded back and forth. But then the towel comes, and it's time for rest. But you know what happens to the dough when the time is over? It starts to rise, and you will rise again. This will pass. And what's happened when you've had that kneading experience, that pummeling that you don't understand, when the rest comes, good things are ahead. So kneading, I looked in the Bible and I looked some verses up about rest. And of course I found the one that we love the most in Matthew chapter 11 and verse 28. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. It's an invitation. It's an invitation, come to me. Let me put that nice clean towel over you, over the dough, and rest. Then I looked for another one, and I found it in Hebrews. That was a good verse, too, in Hebrews. It's Hebrews you probably won't think of too often. The Hebrews, we're going to go look and see what the Lord has to say here. Hebrews, it says, there remains a rest for the people of God. There remains a rest. And that phrase just seemed to speak to me. There remains a rest for the people of God. And so I want to tell you today, if you have been going through a hard time, if you have been going through a time of pummeling, a time when you don't understand what's going on, it's time to rest and trust. I put this on. One reason is it just feels kind of cozy, but also because it's winter, and it reminds me of the winters I had in Minnesota. I had 20 winters in Minnesota, and I don't want another one. I remember times when it was 20 below zero, 40 below zero, with the wind, the snow, 4 or 5 feet, and everything frozen, and the snow would come and cover everything.
Oofda.
But you know what? The ground was resting. The ground was resting. Winter is a time of rest up in Minnesota. It's not a time of growth. It's a time of rest. And the ground is resting. And when spring comes, pretty soon you're going to see the daffodils. Pretty soon you're going to see tulips. And even tulips sometimes stick their pretty heads up through the snow. So if you're going through a time of winter, spring is coming. I still remember my dad. He would come to church on the worst winter day of the year, and he would put his hat up on the shelf, and he'd turn to the man behind him and say, spring is coming.
Yeah.
That's the way we have to live. If you're going through a winter, if you're going through a time where you feel you're being pummeled like the dough, spring is coming. God has good things. Trust Him.